Hi, welcome to episode 14. Some steps are more equal than others. I got sick of Mary Had a Little Lamb. Let's do another great classic song. How about this song? It's in 4/4 time. Let's do it in the key of C major. Do, do. Wait, I can sing you a real C. Hey, that was it. Do, do. Sol, sol, all quarter notes. La, la, sol. Half note there. Fa, fa, mi, mi. Re, re, do. You recognize it? Let me turn this up. Yeah, that's right. It's Twinkle, 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 Little Star. Not Twinkle, Twinkle, Had a Little Star. Yeah. So, let's look at these notes. We learned what this clef means. It's a G clef. My G clef is kind of weird looking, but it's still a G clef. It's a treble clef. That means this line is G. So if this line is G, we can count down. F, E, D, C. Hey, there it is, middle C. So C, C, G, G. Remember G is this line. A, G. These are A's because they're in the space right above the G line. And then we just go down. F, F, E, E, D, D, C. Simple enough, right? And if we're using solfege, and I tell you that C is the tonic, then you would go do, do, sol, sol, la, la, sol. Fa, fa, mi, mi, re, re, do, right? Now, let's say we had a different vocal register or something, and we just wanted to move this. So instead of going C, C, G, G, A, G, F, F, E, E, D, D, C, let's say we just wanted to start it higher. Let's try starting it on D. I'm just going to write it here on the next line. Same exact thing, but every single note I'm just going to move up a step. It seems like that should work. If you move every note up a step, then the melody should sound the same, because as I keep saying, the way we think of pitch is as this internal system of relations. And you can go through here and look. Every pitch is just as far away as it used to be. Like here we went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, counting the bottom one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, counting the bottom one and the top one. Here we did too. D, E, F, G, A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here we went up a step and back down a step. We did the same thing here. So everything should check out, right? It should sound the same. Let's see. I'm going to play it. So far, so good. What? Something's off there. Did you hear it? If you found that these sounded off, you're right. They don't sound right. It doesn't sound like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Not to me. Listen to the in C again. Now here it is in starting on a D. What is going on here? Don't worry, I'm going to answer that question. But first, just for fun, let's do it one other place. Let's say we wanted to try it on starting on an E. So same thing, we'll keep all the internal relationships. Here it goes up a fifth. We call this a fifth. Here it goes up just a step, and here it comes back down. And then here it steps down back to where it started from, E. Okay, there it is written out so that it starts on E, and every time it went up 5 here, it goes up 5 here, and every time it went down 1 here, it goes down here. Same exact shape. Let's hear this version. Whoa. Now that is a far cry from the original, right? Here's that original C major version. Then here's the one that started on D. Sounded normal except for these two notes. Here's the one that starts on E. Oops, sorry. Weird. 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 So this one had a lot of weird notes. That sounded off, and that sounded off. If you're not hearing that yet, don't worry, you'll get there. Hopefully you can kind of hear how that sounded off. Maybe you couldn't, maybe your ear got confused by the time we got to these last ones and you couldn't tell just how far off. But trust me, it is. It's off. Is there something wrong? Did we do something wrong when we invented music? Well, yeah, kind of, maybe kind of, but kind of not. It's hard to explain, and that's why it'll take me like 20 episodes to explain. The fact is, like in my title, some steps are more equal than others. That means not all steps are created the same. If this distance from F to E doesn't sound the same as this distance from G to F, and it's because it's not. It's not the same. We could make this sound right. We would have to fix it, and let's do that. Get out my true teacher pen, the red ink. If we wanted to make this D major, or this D1 sound right, we have to take these notes and raise them. We have a sign in music. It looks like this. Two vertical lines, and then two kind of slanted lines, and we call it a sharp. You might know it as a hashtag or a pound sign. In music, it's a sharp. And we put it in front of this F, and it turns this F into what we call an F sharp. So it's kind of weird. We put the sharp in front of the note when we're writing it in notation, but when we say it in speech, we put it after, and we call it F sharp. This F is also sharp. In reality, I don't have to write a sharp for both of them, but we'll get there. For now, I will. These are both F sharps now, and now listen to it. Fixed it. Call in the doctor when you got a note wrong. I can fix it. Let's fix this one. If we wanted to make this one work, we'd have to... Ooh, that first note is low. We're going to have to raise that one too. Let's do it. We turn those C's into C sharps. Now they're going to work. Now the A's are normal. Let's raise those G's. Oops. Raise those F's. Leave the E the same. So to fix these, we kept having to raise notes. So in other words, like I keep saying, not all steps are created equal. It turns out, two kinds of steps. And one of the most confusing things for beginning music students is how the two kind of steps play out in terms of the actual letter names of notes, the keys on a keyboard. This has everything to do with the white and black keys on a keyboard, and we're going to get there, but not today. Today I want to keep us in solfege land. So let's look at this solfege, and let's get off the staff for a little and go back to that simple world where we don't have to worry about all these sharps and flats because we're in solfege land. In solfege land, this song is made up of the notes from a do all the way up to a la. let's see how to go about this. Do to re is a normal step. Re to mi is a normal step. Mi to fa, that's one of the weird ones. Fa to sol is normal, and sol to la is normal. This step is actually exactly half the size of this step. And that's why we call this a half step. A lot of times we abbreviate half step to HS. And that means all these other ones are whole steps. A whole step, we abbreviate it as WS. And as long as you make sure all your half and whole steps are arranged like this, you could play the beginning of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in any key. Let's get into more detail though about solfege. There's one more half step, but I want you to notice something about this one. We talked about tendency tones last time, if you remember, or maybe it was a few times ago. In solfege, we have certain notes want to go to others. T's want to go to do. That was the strongest one. And the second strongest one is that fa's want to go to mi. And if you can remember those two, then you can remember that both of these intervals are half steps. And every other interval in a scale is a whole step. In fact, I mean, what came first? The fact that these are half steps or the fact that they're tendency tones? Chicken and egg kind of question. Impossible. Notes that are closer to each other definitely sound more like they go to each other, but it's not an exclusive thing of notes that are next to each other. All right? Let's draw the whole scale like this. And I'm going to draw it horizontally this time. So here's the weird thing. In music, we have a general idea of a step. And when we say a step, sometimes we're not being very specific, and we mean a whole step or a half step. We don't really specify. So like when we're naming intervals, we name this do to re a second. Because remember the thing I was talking about, they didn't have 0 when they made up these words. We would think that was an interval of 1, but they called it an interval of 2 because they called do 1 already. So 1, 2, that's a second. 1, 2, 3, that's a third. 1, 2, 3, 4, that interval is a fourth. And so on, regardless of whether they're whole or half steps. But that's all fine if you're in solfege land. What if you want to actually go over to a keyboard or go to an instrument? Unless you are a very, very much beginner, you know that on an instrument or a keyboard, there's not 7 different notes, there's 12 different notes per octave. And thus does the confusion arise. So here's how to remember it in solfege land. You just have to remember one simple little thing. Whole, half. Whole, half. It's kind of a fun tongue twister to say. No matter what major scale you're playing, you always have to go whole, half, whole, half. If it's a major scale, it goes whole, half, whole, half. Whole, half, whole, half. Whole, half, whole, half. It kind of sounds like you're laughing when you say it. You're laughing. Yeah, those are the intervals between the solfege syllables. And the fact that they're different is like, I don't know, a good 20% of the confusion in music. And that is also why I so like to work in the beautiful land of solfege, where you don't have to worry about all your sharps and flats to make sure you keep your whole halves. And so whenever possible, I'm always going to be working from solfege when I have concepts to talk about where I can. But next episode, we'll get to how this plays out as far as specific sharps and flats on a keyboard. And a keyboard is kind of the lingua franca of music, like how Latin used to be the lingua franca. Wait, that makes no sense. Doesn't lingua franca mean French language? My metaphors are getting weird. I'm running out of time. Next time, we'll connect this concept to the keyboard, to sharps and flats. Goodbye.